Hello, Internet, and welcome to apparently yet another episode of Bat Chat. Of one? No, seriously, John, if you're doing it this month. Anyways, yeah, I'm just gonna get to those Bat comics. But before all that, I'm talking Turtles. So, Utrum Empire wraps up with its third issue, and it could have huge reaching influences into the normal series line. Kind of in the way the Secret History of the Foot Clan did for the series, much so over the one-shot micro-series stuff. This seemed like a weird build, but it's really interesting. You get a sense of Krang, and at the end you see where Shredder and how it all could just come together and be a huge launching point to where the Return from New York could be, or Return to New York could be a whole different bag of wax. And this has just been a crazy, crazy ride, and now I'm just so excited to see where we're going to go next with the Turtles universe that, man, this is a big ride. And it's hard because the only real big point in this comic to talk about is the ending, and it would just ruin the entire thing. But I have a feeling in a couple months y'all all know what it was. Sorry for the constant noise. John DeCosta and Sleepy Reader are ripping my head off on Twitter, so be sure to go check that out. Okay, let's talk Batgirl, because I know last time I was a little more off on it than most people, and that's mostly because my aversion to a lot of the same-songy bullshit of vampires, but this played it in a really interesting way. In this issue, I feel it was definitely stronger than the last, regardless, and wow, this was just a one churn after another. And also it was really interesting because it felt like Gail Simone was really back on the book after some tumbling with whatever DC was throwing at her. This is her writing savant-like characters, and it's definitely an interesting take, and it's within the scope of the book. This is where this book kind of needs to be, is staying on a case with some interpersonal stuff mixed in, and when it tries to go outside of that, it doesn't wander too well, because this book needs to be focused on characters and cases. And what's interesting about that is, in doing so, this tied in with a book that was canceled, and actually makes it more epic than when it's tied into whatever bad event it would be tied into poorly. And so this issue does more to actually build the DC universe than when it's tying in with the other Bat books, I guess, to avoid the spoilerific sort of thing. Again, another issue where it's like there is so much, but there is so much in the last few pages that is really where you want to key in on this issue. But it's crazy to see Batgirl hunt down Silver, and Silver pulls this crazy move in here where, to avoid the police, he like cuts his neck just ever so slightly, pulls this backflip with this blood going, freaks everyone out, and vanishes. And the case builds, but I mean, and in doing so, Batgirl has kind of a build of a slight uneasy alliance / truth with Nightfall, and she knows that that's some dirty dealings, but she also knows saving a child is so much more important than her personal vendetta. And so while we kind of get that tension, at the same time it's not too tense, because you know she's just focused on doing the right thing. And that's just such a great way to play it, as opposed to the just over-heightened melodrama where it's unneeded. And just so much in this one issue. It's great. Harley Quinn gets on the case, and you know who she will chase. I don't know. Crazy, awesome issue, but one-off and nothing of particular super note, but it's just another crazy, fun issue with some weird issues being addressed. There you go. the hunt for Robin begins. In a way, he gets found, you know, when half of him's birthed through some whales and whatnot over and over and over again. It's a weird issue, but this is fun. It's nice to have this book back moving and away from the Two-Face arc that, while interesting, was not paced very well. And I have a feeling this arc is going to be so fast-paced will more than make up for what was lacking in the prior. Red Hood 29 new creative team shows a whole lot more promise than the last one, at least in the writing department. This is a crazy thing. We're going back Interstellar, and there's really not a lot to say about that besides, you know, alien threat to Earth, and they're going to try to do something about it. I don't know. I mean, it's interesting, but it took us so long to get here. It's a good comic. I don't know if it's good enough for me to really stick with this book, especially given that we're looking at some weekly books from DC now, and if those end up being better quality, probably dump this for covering, you know, a week of one of those. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm willing to at least give it another issue because it seems so unfair to dump this book now that it finally seems to have some real mojo going on. Wonder Woman 29, and we have an amazing chapter here. This is a huge action point and a turning point, and then we drop off, but the cover really states the major action that takes place in this comic. At the same time, we have a real true villain established, we have a reconnecting, and we have kind of like a cast whittled and yet cored down, and man, I know this is drumming to an end, and whereas I'll be sad to see it go, I'm so excited to see how it's going to wrap up. I really, really have a feeling this is going to be regarded as a very definitive Wonder Woman run for a long time, and if DC makes a misstep and the next creators don't follow through with it in some way, I don't think they can match the quality in any way or the what's going on, but if as long as they keep kind of the tone and the mood and kind of the through line of the book running, they're going to have a real character for once with Wonder Woman. I know that sounds weird because Wonder Woman's been a mainstay for years, but I've had this discussion before with others. Wonder Woman's never really made a lot of sense in a general way, and if they're able to carve out Wonder Woman more this like faux Greek mythology that's placed within the DC universe like really heavily here, it's going to make Wonder Woman as a character and as a book stand out in such a way that it can stand on its own and it can be one of the greats, not just in being, you know, the first and primary female superhero, but in being a honest to goddamn good book, which is more than could be said about it normally. So I'm really excited, and I really hope that they push forward with Wonder Woman in this manner. And next month might be a really good month for Wonder Woman because it looks like Batman and should have a good beat with Wonder Woman. This next issue, I have a feeling is going to be a really big issue for Wonder Woman. And I'm hoping that DC does something so that they can break out of just having Superman, Batman over and over and over again and really make Wonder Woman a standout character, and hopefully others as well, but baby steps. 5 Ghosts 10, and I just burned through this book. We really have an absence of Fabian issue, and normally with those sort of things you hope to really learn more about the character by removing them as an element so you can put them back in later. Really, we just kind of get an element of the Dreamstone and all that, and it's kind of a thinner issue, but it's fun, and they play with Sinbad a bit. It's an interesting little play, but it's I feel like in a way it's the most downtrodden issue yet of the series, not to say anything truly negative of it, but without our main character and kind of the focus there, it does feel like kind of a void, really, and not really that we got anything more about him or that much more about the story for moving forward. So Lazarus 7, in a way, actually answers a lot of the questions I've been having about the setup of this rather bleak political situation that it seems to live in. And I'm more interested now, but at the same time, I can't really feel too big about it. It still feels almost too bleak to take too seriously. But I don't know, I'm a lot more hooked now than I was before. It's a shame that it took 7 issues to kind of get there, but we are here now, and so I'm curious to see where this goes moving forward. But yeah, it's a bleak idea. So that is pretty much it for this week. I mean, sorry for a kind of longer video, but a big old pile of comics, so there you go. Arrivederci.